Good evening. Welcome to the Pearl Report. I'm Diana Lin. 25 years ago in mainland China, a pro-democracy movement that engulfed Beijing and other cities ended on June 4th in a military crackdown and profuse bloodshed. Many of the student and other protest leaders were arrested or fled abroad. The Pearl Report went to the United States and Taiwan to meet some of the exiled. 25 years on, how have their lives changed? How do they regard June 4th and China today?
北京市人民政府和戒严部队指挥部发出紧急通告，妄图颠覆中华人民共和国，推翻社会主义制度。
如果是军队进来了，我们绝不后退半步。不达目的，不达目的，誓不罢休，誓不罢休。
行动是绝对自由的，是不能压制的。我们寻求真正的解放，我们的行动超越了自己的生命。
Resolving June 4th will heal the wound and achieve a healthier nation. I've never given up, so recalling these 25 years, I feel sad but have no regrets.
"25 years are a long time. Every day is torturous. If there's no redress for June 4th, I won't return to China. If June 4th is vindicated, I'll go back to China and kiss the soil of China."
My heart is still with these people who died, who sacrificed a dream. My dream for China is a country where we can freely express ourselves. My main effort now is to fight for that dream.
In 1989, former student leader Wang Dan negotiated with Beijing's leaders on behalf of protesters. He regularly updated students in Tiananmen Square on the latest developments.
It was a patriotic pro-democracy student movement. Rather than democracy, let's say the students were fighting for freedom. Hoping for more freedom or more direct participation in the country's development.
After June 4th, Wang Dan was imprisoned twice. Released on medical parole, he went to the US and attended Harvard University, obtaining a master's degree in East Asian Studies and a PhD in history. He currently lives in Taiwan. After working at several universities, he's now an assistant professor in humanities at the National Tsinghua University.
After 25 years, I think we can see the meaning of democracy is much more profound, including in lifestyle, culture, and so on. Looking back, democracy is not simple. I am afraid China still needs much more time to attain full democracy.
Wang Dan is 45. After years of living in Taiwan, Wang confesses he loves the place for its proximity to the mainland, convenient for his parents to visit him. Also, he can closely observe changes in China.
What China faces today is not only the Chinese Communist Party's autocracy, but also economic development. They impact on people's desire to participate in politics and pin down people's political ideals.
Although Wang Dan thinks democracy in China is a long way off, he's never given up. He also persists in seeking to redress the verdict of June 4th.
To smoothly develop democracy, we must heal past wounds. No democracy can go ahead with wounds and bloodshed. I think June 4th will be vindicated, but definitely not in the short term. On the 25th anniversary of June 4th, some intellectuals, specialists, and students have been arrested. You've never seen this happen before. I think Xi Jinping's government will not rehabilitate June 4th.
I still hope under Xi Jinping's leadership, June 4th can be vindicated under certain circumstances in the near future.
After June 4th, the exiled former head of the Chinese Academy of Social Science, Yan Jiaqi, persists in seeking rectification of the June 4th verdict and rule of law for China.
I saw the recent investigations into top officials, such as Zhou Fengsuo and Bo Xilai, in a crackdown on corruption. This could be going in the direction of the rule of law. I'm not saying China's current leadership bears any responsibility for June 4th. Xi Jinping bears no responsibility. But he's the representative of China redressing June 4th and a revival of justice in China. Let the light of justice brighten all of China, including Hong Kong.
In 1989, Yan Jiaqi supported the students in Tiananmen Square and, along with other scholars, jointly released the May 16th communique backing the student movement and urging the authorities to heed the people. After June 4th, he was blacklisted along with other intellectuals. From an academy head to an exile, Yan Jiaqi lived in France and the United States, writing articles to express his concerns for China. Looking back, Yan says he has no regrets, only lament.
The 1989 student movement was arbitrary. There was actually only one reason for it: feeling righteous and expressing one's thoughts. Expression yielded consequences. Never thought there'd be such serious consequences. China can have a great future, but the first step, and the necessary first step, is to redress June 4th.
In the early years of his exile, Yan actively participated in overseas pro-democracy activities. He once headed the Federation of Democratic China. He regularly joined in June 4th related events. During 2 decades in the US, Yan lived on fees from his writings and his wife's job in a hospital. A quarter of a century on, Yan Jiaqi still misses his homeland.
In these 25 years, I thought of China. I cared for China. On the one hand, I have to understand the U.S. and Western society, but time flies. A middle-aged man became an old man. To us, that's all right, but for China, so many people, so much suffering. The hardship of Zhao Ziyang's family, why can't it be redressed?
About a month ago, Yan Jiaqi, a septuagenarian, drove for 3 days to relocate from Florida to Maryland. He joked the 900-mile ride made him realize you needed courage to deal both with your home and your nation.
If you feel something must be changed, you must have the courage to change it. Rectification of the June 4th verdict is a must. The longer I'm away from China, the more I miss my motherland. We miss our home, not only our country, but also our home.
This is my 当年的通缉令，这是我唯一一个照片，89年唯一的照片。这个，它是这样排的，1、2、3、4、5。
Ranking 5th on the most wanted students list, Zhou Fengsuo was the representative of Tsinghua University in the 1989 student movement. The radio station he set up for Tsinghua later became the broadcaster for the command center in Tiananmen Square.
周峰所，男，1967年10月5日生。
After June 4th, Zhou Fengsuo was soon arrested and jailed. He was released after a year. In 1995, he moved to the U.S.
这一张是王丹刚出来的时候。好，
Zhou Fengsuo kept a low profile during the student movement. Few knew his name. So when he arrived in the US, he received no assistance. His English was poor, and he had a much harder time than the well-known political dissidents.
I was waiting tables at restaurants for a short period. Sometimes I work at 3 different restaurants, deliver pizza, waiting table. Sometimes I feel confused because that's not what I want to do.
He later studied for an MBA at the University of Chicago, but when it came to finding internships, no one wanted to interview him due to his past as a student activist.
Big challenge. Most companies would look for Chinese to work in Hong Kong or Beijing, which I couldn't do because of my political identity. I can read and write very well. I get very good grades in all the subjects, but still no job offer.
After graduating in 1998, Zhou Fengsuo found, with much difficulty, a job in finance. With his life back on track, he resumed his concerns over democracy and freedom for China, even as he began to adapt to living in the US.
This is where I can freely express myself. China's transition into a democracy is the most challenging transition in the world. I feel lucky to be part of the people who can fight against this superpower that's corrupting the universal value and our environment.
Exiled for decades, but still concerned for the mainland, how can these activists help promote human rights and democracy in mainland China? Stay with us.